did see some hail. Yeah, we have some unsettled mix of rain and snow for northern portions of southern Ontario. Here's a snapshot of our conditions across the country, and you see places that are unsettled with the icons indicating rain: Vancouver, Edmonton, Thunder Bay, and St. John's. Right now across the east, southern Ontario specifically, and Quebec, we have this high pressure system moving in from the States, which is actually helping to keep us fairly dry in the south. But northern portions of Ontario, that's where you could experiencing mixing. Barrie, Thunder Bay, Bancroft, and even towards Ottawa. We'll talk more in the program about the timing on any of these systems, but you can see through Toronto, we do have quite unsettled conditions, even for Halloween. We have more of your Halloween forecast and an in-depth look during In the Know with Rhythm Read. So you're going to want to stick around for that so you can dress appropriately for the occasion. Here's what we're experiencing through southern Ontario today. All that blue that you saw up there through that Bancroft area, that's what I was explaining, where you could see some mixing. Meanwhile, through portions of Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland specifically, we could have some mixing of some wet snow and rain. Even some flurries could be seen, especially through that Corner Brook area and through Cape Breton Island. Now, the Maritimes in your long range will remain dry, but Newfoundland, you're going to have a soggy pattern ahead. Where it's been quite soggy as well is British Columbia. We've had quite the rain event yesterday alongside gusty winds. We still have some more rainfall left to fall on your Sunday in through Monday. Here's a snapshot of how much rain you could experience, and we'll talk more in the program about your 7-day forecast. It's a soggy one in Vancouver.
Get personalized weather recommendations.
We have more in the program on your long-range Halloween forecast. But first, let's talk more about the rest of your weekend's conditions. We have a trough and unsettled conditions on the west. We also have some unsettled conditions for you in Newfoundland, where I will begin my weather story here. We're looking at some mixing of rain, snow. You could even possibly see some flurries through portions of Cape Breton Island, for example, where you see some blue there. Also Corner Brook by Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. You may experience some mixing there as well. Mostly a rain event for you on the Avalon, but we can't rule out mixing there too. It just goes to show how cool your conditions are actually starting to get. In your long-range forecast, the Maritimes, you remain dry. Meanwhile, a soggy pattern continues for you if you are in St. John's, for example. Here's a look at your afternoon conditions, getting cooler as the days progress. Sydney, 8 degrees, Yarmouth 8 degrees, Halifax 8 there as well. St. John's 12 degrees. You're still fairly warm, but you do have a little bit of rain associated with that. But your temperatures, those are going to start cooling down, which is going to help that mixing form. 5 degrees by Wednesday, feeling more like 1. Yeah, it's fall. It's that time of year. Meanwhile, in southern Ontario, we have a boundary that's bringing in heavy rainfall for portions of cottage country, the Nickel Belt, but we also have some mixing there as well. All of this blue, we could see some snow in higher elevated areas, but also as we head into that overnight on Sunday, those cool conditions really helping some snow form through Bancroft. Not a high amount of accumulation, I must say, but if you are traveling through the overnight, just be aware. We do have another system approaching on Tuesday, but that's later on in the week. So we'll get through the weekend first before we get there. Meanwhile, if you are around the lake, just know it could be gusty wind conditions. That also means that the leaves are going to start falling off the trees. So if you're on a walk, you might be crunching through a little bit of crunchy leaves. 13 degrees in Toronto, Hamilton 12 degrees, London 12 degrees. Still a satisfying and pleasant weather condition for you on your Sunday. But just note that we could have some unsettled conditions early on in your work week and even Halloween. So I always have an umbrella in my car just in case. Where you really are going to need an umbrella, though, is in British Columbia on the west coast. You've been dealing with quite the rain the past couple days, even last weekend too, right? Your icons indicating all of this rain here. Your temperatures, though, still fairly seasonal. Just about 3 degrees below seasonal, actually, in Vancouver, 11 degrees. Victoria, 11 degrees. Also 11 in Tofino. Here's a look at how much rain is still left to fall through your Sunday and even overnight in through Monday. About 30 millimeters left for the Metro Vancouver area. More inland, we could experience upwards of 75 millimeters. And if you're anywhere along the coast, Vancouver Island, about 50 millimeters still left to fall there. And a soggy week ahead for you in Vancouver with quite cold conditions. We're just a few days away. Are you getting excited? Do you have your costume all planned out? Maybe you're on the weather conditions to decide what you're actually going to wear. In just a few moments, we have Michael Van. He's out embarking on a little bit of a Halloween journey, so we're going to get you all prepared for that. But first, let's talk a little bit about your weather conditions. We do have some unsettled conditions for you through Newfoundland. Parts of the Maritimes could see a little bit of mixing. That's wet snow, rain, snow mix. Meanwhile, southern Ontario, you remain fairly dry. Northern portions of Ontario, you could see a little bit of mixing there too. We're going to talk more when I return about the timing on any precipitation in your forecast and more on your temperatures. In your long range for Ontario and through Quebec, we could see some heavy rainfall in the near future, and that also might put a little bit of a damper on your plans for Halloween. We have more of your forecast later on In the Know with Rhythm Breed as well. Meanwhile, a soggy pattern on the west coast, the rain remaining in place for you in British Columbia. We'll talk more about the rain in just a moment. Now here's Michael Van. I love that little blast from the past with Michael's old costume videos. That was amazing. If you have any costumes or any outdoor decorations, feel free to send us a picture or video. You can hashtag #ScareYourWeather. Send it to us on X. You can also send it to me on Instagram at Victoria Fenn Alvarado, and you could be featured on Weather AM. You still have some time. You may want to stay indoors if you're in British Columbia. If you're afraid of the rain, like the witch that melts in the rain. What is that, the Wizard of Oz? Trying to think of Halloween references. You still have about 50 millimeters, actually 65 millimeters left to fall through that Tofino area. Abbotsford, upwards of 50 millimeters of rain still left to fall for you. Quite the wet couple days, and we still have a soggy pattern ahead, especially if you're in Vancouver. Your conditions this afternoon, though, just below that seasonal mark for many of you. 11 degrees in Tofino, Victoria, and Vancouver. Meanwhile, as we progress through Alberta, your conditions still fairly seasonal there too. 16 degrees in Red Deer, Calgary 15, Lethbridge 18. Those icons indicating rain through Edmonton and Fort McMurray. We do have a little bit of instability for you. If you're north of Edmonton specifically, we could see some rain even through Edmonton by Sunday evening. Just some passing showers, not completely a washout. Fort McMurray, cold enough there to experience some snow. And as those cool conditions start to move on in through Monday, Tuesday, you could even see some flurries through Edmonton and Jasper. I know Calgary saw a little bit of accumulated snow just a couple days ago, so yep, we're knocking on winter's door here. Meanwhile, your conditions still getting colder as the days progress, as I mentioned, with that snow approaching. Even by Friday, Calgary, you could experience some flurries there too. Throughout other portions of the prairies, just mostly cloud cover for your Sunday, but as we head into Monday, northern portions of Saskatchewan could see some mixing. Extreme north, snow a little further south because it's warmer. We could experience some rain, and just note that we could see that mixing. When I say mixing, I mean rain and snow, just a little bit of wet snow. Meanwhile, in Winnipeg, here's a look at the 7-day forecast for you. 16 degrees on Monday. That would be the day to get out. If you're afraid of the cold, you may want to bundle up for the next couple of days. By midweek, dropping to 6 degrees, feeling more like 3 with a low of -2. In Saskatoon, 14 degrees this afternoon, a little bit of cloud cover. Fort McMurray has some rain at 4 degrees, much cooler up there. Meanwhile, in Winnipeg, 13 degrees, and Brandon, 12 degrees for your afternoon. I hope you can enjoy some fall activities today, and maybe you're picking out your costume. We're going to get you prepared for Halloween coming up later on in the program.
Did you change your cell phone? Make sure to download